Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there a public comment on each separate agenda item? Or if you want to address an agenda item as the beginning public comment on the agenda, the only time the public can speak?
She may use at the beginning, but we can have, we have something specific, we can, we do the presentation, we can make comments after we do the presentation. So for item 1, we'll do the presentation to the commission. And usually the public can make, if they have any questions, they can go ahead and do it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we ready? Are we ready? Okay, I call the November 7th, 2019 Utility Advisory Commission meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Commissioner Taylor and Coleman and Christine
Harrison.
and Gary Williams are present, so we have a quorum. We have consent agenda. Is there any items in the consent agenda anybody has an issue with? Okay. All right, all matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. So, the standing approval of the minutes as written for the what was the last meeting? September 5th, 2019 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting for, what day was it?
September 5th.
September
2019.
5th of the Utility Advisory Commission.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes as printed. We have a second?
Second.
Second, Andrew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is passed.
Here, we probably need to do the public comments.
Yes. At this time, we would entertain any public comments that might have. Okay, hearing none. We'll address the old business. Is there? I guess there is no old business to deal with, so new business. Due to the resignation of Commissioner Andrew, we will have to elect a new vice president, vice chairperson of the commission. So, do Do I hear any nominations to anybody particularly want to do the job?
No. Christina?
What?
I guess I would nominate Christina.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Christina, vice chairman or vice chairperson, and so we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Next item is John has a presentation.
Yeah, second item is a recommendation to City Council for the purchase of a combination vacuum and jetting truck. The city has the task of cleaning the wastewater collection system, and they use two methods. One is jetting, in which they use high pressure using a vacuum, what we call a vacuum truck, vacuum jetting truck. So they clean the sewer lines with the jetting, and they will also use that to cut any root balls or also any grease. Then the second function is vacuuming, in which all the dirts are extracted by the vacuuming system. This is to remove any solids all solids and water is removed from the system. This way are through the sludge tank. So all the solids go to a tank. We also use that system for cleaning the lift stations. Usually they get a lot of grease, so we use a vacuum system to pull the grease out of the lift stations. Right now we have a Vector is the brand of the truck. It was purchased in 2007. Since 2015, we have spent over $46,000 in repairs and currently have 35,000 miles and 3,500 operating hours. So last year, or in the current budget 2019-2020, we had a, can you go to it? We had a budget amount of $450,000, if I'm not mistaken, for the replacement of the current vacuum jetting truck. So we put an RFP on the website, also in Drexel Technologies Plan Room, and in the Gardner News. We got 5 vendors responded to the RFP. We, according to purchasing policy, we have to form a selection committee. So in the selection committee was Michael Kramer, who is the Public Works Director, Shannon Templeton, she's the risk coordinator. Then we had Jeff Lemire, utility senior engineer, myself, and Juan Delgado, which is a line maintenance supervisor. So we met on October 1st to review the proposals. Elliot sent 2 proposals, one for a new truck and one for a demo unit. Then we had Red, they provided 4 proposals, one for a single engine, for a dual engine, those 2 are new. Then they have a demo unit 1 and demo unit 2. Then Key Equipment sent a new truck. Then Myers was a demo unit, and Midwest Vac Products was a 2018 truck. So the selection committee met in 2 occasions. The first 2, we were going through the information, trying to identify which proposal make more sense for our needs. And on October 30th, we went ahead, met for the last time, And after reviewing all the information, we, as a committee, decided to go with the Camel demo unit, which is provided by Elliott Equipment. Now, some of the reasons we didn't consider the other vendors are: Red was a second strong proposal. Out of the 4 proposals presented, Demo 1 was comparable to the Elliott proposal. Some of the differences between the 2 proposals between Elliott and Red was that the Red unit has a reel, the reel can swing only 180 degrees compared to the Elliott, the Camel, that can go to 170 degrees. Also, they have a dual engine in a triplex pump. The hose reel holds only 600 feet of 1-inch hose, which will limit our repairs. And the debris body raises 5 feet 8 inches to release the debris. We have a small presentation in a few minutes so you can see the differences between the different trucks. Key equipment, we currently have a Vector truck. The Vector is Key Equipment represents that brand. We had a lot of issues with that truck, repairs, like I mentioned, over $45,000 in only 4 years. And their customer service is very poor. Usually when we send the trucks for repairs, usually we have to wait a longer period than they had promised because they don't have the parts on hand. And this equipment was not demonstrated, and it will take 210 days for delivery. So we're talking about maybe early June, May. And the noise level is 110 decibels. The Meyer equipment was a demo unit, and it was sold a few weeks ago, so we don't have that option. And the Midwest Vac products is the chassis can be serviced locally, but if anything else goes wrong, has to go to Illinois for repairs. They don't do repairs on site. And that unit was not available for demonstration. And also is a 2018 truck. With that, we'll proceed with the PowerPoint presentation to give you a little more information on the different proposals. And Juan Delgado, he's the superintendent, he will be doing the presentation.
Good evening. First part of my presentation is going to be some comparison with the 4 VATCon trucks that they submitted. They proposed a single engine, which is chassis driven, and a dual engine. Each one of these trucks all had options and accessories added to them. The new single engine and the new dual engine, they are just standard trucks. But each of these trucks, the single engine has approximately $103,241 in options added to their base model. They have a triplex water pump, and for our use, it has to be upgraded to at least 80 gallons a minute at 2,000 RPMs, and they're offering us 60 gallons per minute at 2,000. And that's an extra $10,000 just to get that 80 gallons a minute at that 2,000 or 3,000 PSI that we need. The units have a single stage fan, and their decibel rating is 110. Some perspective, normal conversation between 2 people is around 60 to 65 decibels. The dual engine It has $109,448 in options to their base model. Now, it already has a triplex pump that is upgraded to 80 gallons a minute at 2,000 PSI. And this too is a unit, single stage fan, and it has a decibel reading of 110. This slide here is, these are options that are available only on Titans. So I'm showing you this just in comparison that if you were able to add these options to a base model, that you would bring this truck up to their VATCon, which would be comparable, as Don said, to the Camel. Their 3-stage air boost compressor system with their due cyclone filtration, that's $13,500. Their 3-stage blower, this is their exhaust silencer that reduces the noise of the unit. That's $4,900. Their Q-drive system is $24,000. They offer an air purge system to their Titans, $800. Their Omnibus Precision Power System, this is their control station, it's $5,688. You can get a wireless remote with 16 functions for $4,800. They even offer a heavy-duty segmented elbow, and this is that 90-degree elbow at the boom of the vacuum for $1,200. This was surprising to me when we did the research. They have a standard splash shield on their trucks, and the splash shield's at the rear door of the unit. So when you raise the body, open the door, it's to help contain the splash of liquids. It kind of funnels it to the back of the truck. Theirs is from 2 to 10 o'clock. That costs you an extra $2,700. Their standard is just 4 to 8. So the 2 to 10 comes way up alongside the truck, and then the 4 to 8 is down lower. But you have $57,900 there, just in those options if you could put them on a base model. So with that, the new single engine, their final price was $281,586. Adding $57,900 in options would bring that truck to $339,000, which is about $1,000 something over the Camel demo unit. For the dual engine, because it had a few more options and accessories put on it, its final price was $310,748. Again, adding that $57,900, it brought that truck to $368,000. Now the VATCon Titans, we had a demo 1, which they call their Midwest, and we had a demo 2, which they call their Southwest. The demo 1 had $174,600 in options and accessories for this truck. That includes that $57,900 that I was showing on page 3. 600 feet of 1-inch jetter hose costs you $1,900. The water pump, this is where that $10,000 comes in, was upgraded to 80 gallons a minute at $3,000. Their Power Guide level line system for the hose reel, $5,200. For the Southwest Demo 2, it was a little less expensive unit. It was $157,092 in options. So again, with the $57,900, I forgot some numbers in here. And with just 600 feet of 3/4 hose, it was only $924. We tried to get differences why, if these were both Titans, Midwest and the Southwest, why there was such a gap in the options for these. And the best way they explain it was that they build these Titans just like they would a car. You can get a Titan with different trim packages on it, and they know that not every municipality will want every feature that their Midwest demo has on them. The 50 gallon a minute at 3,000 PSI water pump, we did check on these, and these pumps do cost $30,000. That's how expensive they are. And the Southwest Demo 2, they didn't have a automatic hose reel system on their truck. For the Camel 1200, what we liked about this truck was that the Camel had an ejector push plate system, which made unloading of debris so much easier and faster and safer. The Camel only has an 11-degree rise to empty its load, and that comes to 2 feet in height. The Titans, their rise is 50 degrees, and I think it's 5 foot 8 inches that body has to come up to empty its debris. I have some photos of that later on. The splash shield on the Camel was only 4 foot 2 inches high. This truck is very low to the center of gravity. Its whole total height is only 11 foot 6 inches. So it's a very low center of gravity truck. Aaron, if you could play that. Do I? Yes. You could probably fast forward a little bit. I think it's only a minute something long. Right here they didn't get to see it, but the push plate pushed all this debris out. Now he'll raise the bed just 2 feet, and with their washdown system that they have inside, it'll finish cleaning whatever little debris has happened to bypass that push plate. This truck is set up that with this push plate in here that you can use it to separate the solids and waters. So you can pump off the water to keep the truck from getting full, and you could keep on working. Now, back on Titan, a splash shield on this truck is 4 feet 6 inches high, so it's a little higher. The VATCON comes in at 13 feet 6 inches higher than the Camel, making it 2 feet taller. Because of the Titan's height, if you can look on the picture there, you'll see a blue hose, and right above that blue hose there's kind of a brown valve. That's a valve. On each side of that, you'll see an arm on your left side. That's solidly connected to the back of the tank. On the right side that you can't hardly see is that there's a handle for that other arm. So an employee has to take it out of the holder, and he has to push up in order to raise that valve up to decant any water off of it. And I feel that could cause a back injury because you're always taught never to be pushing up. The next slide I got is the trucks are in full unloading mode. And here again you get a better picture of the Camel on its 2 foot rise with this push plate ejected out and the rear door open. On the right is the VATCON Titan. You can see how much higher that debris body comes up, and that door is probably only a couple feet from the ground. We don't unload on level ground. We have a spoils pit at 167th Street, and so it's at somewhat of an incline for us to get back in there in order to dump our loads in there. So the concern is because this debris body raises so high, that would feel it could be unsafe and could possibly cause the truck to either slide down that little incline or possibly tilt over. And it's not too safe that with that door at that opening like that for an employee to get back there with a washdown gun and having to clean out inside that debris body. These are the operator stations. The Camel, they call their one bus control system. That's what you see there on the right side of the spool. And at this station here, you can operate your RPMs to your engine, your PSI, your vacuum, your water flow, whatever that you need to do. Just below it, might be hard for you to make out, but there are joysticks there for the operation of the hose reel spool itself and of the vacuum boom. To the left there, that icicle looking thing there is their auto wind system. And what this is here is that hose reel will go between those two glides and then through the two bottom ones, and they can spool this jetter hose out automatically without having to hang on to it and pull it out. And the same with reeling it in. They just have to turn the switch on and this hose auto reel will go back and forth as it's spooling up the jetter hose and keep it straight. The VACCON Titan, this is their operator station and their hose reel. If you see that there are two valves there, with the VACCON Titans, you have to turn the switch on inside their cab center. To jet, you have to come out here, you have to first turn the jetter hose valve on, and then the bottom one you have to turn the water on in order to start using your jetter hose. Their joystick is mounted just a little bit higher. You can see it there just a little to the left of that little crook of that jetter hose. And their operating station display screen is very small and it's low, so the operator will always have to be looking down to see what his pressures and his flows that he's running. And then combined with that, VACCON doesn't have an auto wind system, it's all manual. So that's why you see this little bar there to the bottom, just to the right of his arm. And a manual system, you have an arm coming out, you have a handle, and you'll have a couple of hose guides. So he has to stand there, run this hose wheel where he's running the speed to bring that hose back into the spool. It wouldn't be a very good, safe operation for him to do. And then VACCONs, they have a foot you see down here on the bottom. It's a stabilizer foot. It's hydraulically driven, but that is used to support the weight of this hose reel and their operator station and their valving and all that. And this only articulates, I think, 180 degree swing. That's all it is. When you're done with it, you push it back to the bumper and lock it in place. And another thing we didn't quite like about it was that because it didn't have that rotation as the Camel did, the operator is always standing sideways trying to watch his controls and then pay attention to his jetter hose and if he has any personnel at the manholes that he needs to communicate with. Here's another picture of the operator station. A little better picture for the Camel for their auto wind system. Another unique feature of the Camel was that they have a 420 gallon per minute pump off from the debris tank, so you can pump wastewater if we're having to vacuum a manhole because of sewer blockage. So we can take and pump that water and connect it to this connection here on this valve and put it right back down into the wastewater system and keep on working. The VACCON doesn't have that feature. You can see that what I was talking about their hose reel, the way it just articulates out that 180 degrees, and it just swings back and forth. And then again, their manual auto wind system that they have. And then I guess more comparisons with the Camel and the VACCON. The Camel to the left, because of its lower center of gravity, they're able to mount their vacuum tubes, their wash-down gun and hydro-excavation gun all down low. Personnel can unstrap it and walk away from it without very little lifting. To the left of their toolboxes there, you'll see that there's another valve and cap. That's another port that we can pump off of if we need to get rid of wastewater or any water that we might have from hydro excavation or anything of that sort. And then for the VACCON, because of their height, their vacuum tubes are mounted much higher for personnel to reach. So they would have to uncouple them, they'd have to pick them up off of there and then carry them off to the front. Their wash-down gun and hydro-excavation gun and reels, they're mounted very high. So in order for personnel to reach them, they have those orange stops. We would have to adjust them, and those orange stops would have to be laying down here where you see those valves at in order to make them accessible. They have a pretty unique valving system here, process that you have to go through in opening and closing valves in order to direct water either to their low pressure handgun system, which is 600 pounds, or to their hydro excavation system, which is 3,000 pounds. They have a nice toolbox here, but I couldn't reach anything up there on that top shelf unless I stood on something. I got a couple slides here you probably have read, but with Camel equipment, they listed their options and the costs of them, and for the they have $35,635 in options that would have to be added to the new Camel that they presented to us. The Camel demo unit, it has these same options on them, on that demo unit, but there is no charge for them. It's probably like buying a car. They tell you you're not charging for options, but they're probably there, but you just don't see them with them. But we thought that was pretty good of them to submit that for us. The final slide that I have is the summary for all the trucks that were proposed. If you notice anything with a red X, it signifies that they don't comply with the RFP, such as the VACCONs, their front hose reel systems do not. One of the things that we thought was real important was that was the manual override. The hydraulic manual override is a feature that if the chassis should go down or the dual engine should go down and systems fail, we can still manually bring in the vacuum boom, or we can bring in the hose reel, or we can lower the debris body and we can close the door with it. And they did not have them. So if you have any questions,
I must confess, I don't know where to start asking questions. It's a pretty complicated piece of equipment.
They are. They've really gotten complicated from our old Vector that we've had, for 11 years.
Questions?
Well, I have a simple question, I guess. I noticed on the trade-in on the new one, you have a $50,000 trade-in, and a demo, you have a 60. What's the difference in the two prices?
Probably because one he's offering is brand new. They'd have to build that one for us, so there just isn't much room, I guess, on a new one compared to a demo that they would like to get rid of. They have that in inventory, if that makes sense.
Mr. Harrison, you have a question?
I don't.
Mr. Taylor, any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, do we have any, do you have other comments, John?
No, basically, based on the comparison that Juan did with his staff, which it took 3 weeks to do the comparison, the selection committee decided that the best option as far as accessories and price was the LED equipment proposal for the Camel demo unit.
Okay, do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion. Motion to make a recommendation to the city council to award a supply contract to Elliott Equipment and Supply Company for the Camel demo unit in the amount of $338,000 plus insurance and delivery for a combination vacuum and jetting truck.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. If y'all don't know me, I'm Bruce Baldwin. I'm the Electric Distribution Manager. And on the agenda item we have is approve the recommendation to the City Council to replace 2 specialty vehicles in the lease program. A little background is at the present time, the City of Gardner leases 6 specialty vehicles from Alltech Capital Services. The digger derrick trucks and the large aerial lift trucks are on 5-year leases. The small aerial lift trucks are on 4-year leases. The large aerial truck and the distribution digger derrick truck that are on 5-year leases will expire in July, which they already have, of this year. Since the lead time to construct these 2 types of special vehicles is 9 months from date of order, we have to make a timely decision on what we're going to do here. We went through the IFB process on September 4th, 2019. The city staff issued an invitation for bid for 2 new truck leases. The invitation was published in the Gardner News, Drexel Technologies Plan Room, and on the city's website. Had a total of 2 companies submit bids September 20th, 2019, and are summarized below. Alltech was purchase price was $230,345, and their monthly payment was $3,422. This is for the bucket truck, the telescopic aerial device. Terex's purchase price was $246,200, and their monthly payment was $2,920.69. which no sales tax was included on their bids. And on their distribution digger derrick truck, Alltech was purchase price was $235,422, and the monthly payment was $3,461. Terex purchase price was $263,984, and their monthly payment was $3,149.33. After reviewing the sealed bids, we rejected Terex Utilities truck lease proposals due to not being in complete compliance with the equipment specification sheet and no sales tax was included in their sealed bid proposals. This information was on the invitation for bids, which states the project does not qualify for sales tax exemption for purchasing materials and supplies. The City of Gardner purchasing policy states in section 30.8, rejection of bids. All bids may be rejected when one or more of the following occur. The specifications, scope, and/or terms and conditions need to be revised. It also stated on the invitation for bids, page I, that no bid alterations, corrections will be considered. Alltech Capital has the best lease program based on price and service. The current lease agreement with Alltech Capital has been very successful in the electric division, has benefited significantly from the program. Over the last 7 years, we have leveled out the annual vehicle expenditure and eliminated any and all repair costs. The only expense incurred have been Alltech service technicians' mileage and man hours to our facility and for wear and tear items, which includes tires, windshield wipers, fuel, etc. Staff recommendation is approve a recommendation to the City Council to execute an agreement with Alltech Capital to replace the distribution digger derrick in the lease program for 5 years at a monthly rate of $3,461 per month, and the large aerial lift truck for 5 years at a monthly rate of $3,422 per month, excluding licensing fees and delivery charge. Any questions on that?
Am I reading this wrong? This says it lease expires in July of last July?
Yeah, we should have had this on the item a couple months ago, this July 2019.
Okay.
So Alltech will let us run them over a little bit, so they'll just still continue the lease program till we get this going again, so they don't have an issue with it.
And this is budgeted?
Yes.
This
Yep.
cause any problems? Questions?
I just have one kind of not specific, I mean, I'm fine with this, but is there ever a time where we look at when leasing versus buying makes more sense? I mean, have we?
They did a study in the past when they first did it, lease versus purchase. Mm-hmm. So basically when you lease, you know exactly what you're budgeting for. And that way you don't have to budget for any repair cost because everything's paid for. We have all the warranties, everything. All they do is come down and work on it, and they pay for everything. So we spent I think around $6,000 maybe for Alltech. That's for all our 6 trucks. So you take that, we probably spent maybe $1,000 on each truck for the whole year for them to come down, and we had stuff break on it, but we didn't have to pay for the parts, just the mileage and the man hours they came down the shop and worked on it.
So do you think the time frame of these leases is the value of the truck? I mean, would we need a new truck after 5 years?
Yeah.
If we were, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want reliable service, I mean, you want a truck you can jump in, and it's going to be reliable.
Okay.
Because you don't want to jump into a truck and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Because if anything breaks on these new trucks now, I mean, it'll cost you because nothing's cheap on them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So will you wait 9 months before you get the new vehicle?
Yes. Yeah. We'll keep the one we have now till the other one shows
Even though
up.
your lease has expired?
Yeah, they'll keep leasing it to us. Yeah, with the
For 9
same
more
payment.
months?
Yep. Yeah, they keep it up. So, well, I don't know. That runs over, but they still do it. I mean, we've worked with them for years now. We just keep leasing this one until the other one shows up.
We currently have a lease with Alltech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who we always had a lease with, and nobody's ever been able to beat them. They're right out of St. Joe, Missouri, and they're close. Yeah, we can always get a service guy within a day or two. So
what's the large aerial lift truck? We work on transmission?
we don't do transmission. No,
Huh?
we don't do transmission.
Okay.
That would be this truck will go up to like 60 feet, but our transmission, we need 100 footers for that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So we have two digger trucks.
yeah, we got one this one's a smaller one, and the other one's called the transmission digger derrick truck, which it's a bigger unit, which it'll set bigger poles and reach off to the side further. But the distribution, we use it for, like on city streets and stuff we can reach real quick, setting transformers and stuff. Yeah.
So do you have a plan in place for the next time the lease is gonna expire? You'll start 9 months early, or?
Yeah.
So that you can have it ready when the lease
Yeah, I'm not
expires?
sure if that was correct or not. I don't know if it's right in July or not. But I could get you a date that pretty much, I don't know if that July one's right or not. I think it's,
Well, I'm just worried about the equipment you have now. Is it gonna last 9
oh
more
yeah,
months?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's still everything's under warranty, everything.
You wouldn't need a lease where you can get the equipment earlier than that? Is what I'm concerned about.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, is there a way you can get equipment now instead of in 9 months?
They have to build it. They have to build the
It's
unit.
all built to order
It's all built to our
There's nothing.
specifications.
on the shelf.
You can't do.
Yeah, it's all special equipment.
Any other questions? Call for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the recommendation to the city council to execute an agreement with Alltech Capital to replace the distribution digger derrick in the lease program for 5 years at a monthly rate of $3,461 per month, and the large aerial lift truck for 5 years at a monthly rate of $3,422 per month, excluding licensing fees and delivery charge.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Coleman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Yeah, for the fourth item, we put together a PowerPoint presentation, so it'll be a lot easier to see the information. Following the UAC recommendation on September 5th, 2019, staff presented to City Council on September 16th the Smart Meter project and requested approval. At that time, City Council directed staff to do a smart meter public informational meeting to allow utility customers the opportunity to learn more about the project. So that meeting took place on October 15th at the Justice Center with 16 Gardner residents in attendance. On October 21st, we went back to the City Council and presented approval for the smart meter project. At that time, they went ahead and said that we need to look at we should develop a opt-out policy for utility customers. So that's why we're here tonight, to give you a presentation of what we've found. Currently, there's about 70 million smart meters covering over 80% of the U.S. households. And this, by 2020, the number could reach up to 90 million. We're only asking for 16,000. The next one, please. So these are some of the alternatives we found. One is the no opt-out. Currently, Kansas KCC does not require for any electric utility to have a program. Some of the cities that we communicated with was Olathe, Ottawa, KCP&L, Kansas, Westar, Garden City, and Baldwin City. The other option is the opt-out with fees. References is KCP&L, Missouri, Duke Energy, Austin Energy, KC Water, I forgot the LBWL, and Water One, which is here in Kansas. And the opt-out with no fees, basically it's only 2 states. One is New Hampshire and the other one is Vermont. So looking at the 50 states, 22 states, the Public Utility Commission has a case-by-case opt-out program. 19 states do not have a policy, includes Kansas. 7 states have a statewide opt-out policy in place. 1 state, which is Pennsylvania, does not permit customers from opting out. And 1 state requires a written consent from home or a business owner prior to the smart meter installation, and they offer the opt-out program at no cost. So looking at Kansas, which is one of the states that have no opt-out, on March 14th, like I mentioned before, KCC concluded after an investigation that basically a program was not needed for Kansas at this time. So we reached out to Kansas municipality utilities. Out of the 9 largest municipal utilities, 3 have smart meters, and all 3 do not have an opt-out program. Now, this is some of the states, and you will see that California, they have a setup fee of $75 and a monthly fee of $10. And then for qualifying low-income customers, the setup goes down to $10 and the monthly fee to $5. Texas varies according to the utility. Maryland is $75, the one-time fee, and varies between $11 and $17 monthly fees. Ohio, they have an opt-out program, and the process on the fees varies, but they have a policy established on how to determine those fees. Massachusetts requires utility companies to present an opt-out program proposal from the commission for the commission's approval. Vermont requires the utility companies gives customers written notice prior to installation, and then they offer the opt-out at no cost. In Maine, it's $40 a one-time fee, $15.56 monthly to retain your analog meter. Then if you go and decide to go with a smart meter, it will cost you $20 a one time and $13.98 monthly. Next one. So over here, some opt-out fees. They're not statewide. These are just different electric utilities. The one-time fee can range anywhere between $50 and $250, and the monthly fee between $5 and $50. And in some cases, if somebody can present a notarized statement from a licensed medical physician stating that the radio frequency can impact their health, they get the opt-out program without any fees. And thus Duke Energy offers that program in South Carolina and in North Carolina. So after reviewing all the different options, and sorry, I forgot to mention the business item 4, I made a revision. I got some information after the packets were printed, so you will see a difference in the PowerPoint presentation, also in the actual staff report. So since we have a contingency to establish a smart meter opt-out program prior to approving the smart meter project, we recommend the following opt-out programs. The first one, which was the original, was to have an opt-out with a fee. This will be offered to a single residential customers. It will be a non-communicator meter option. We will set up a one-time fee of $142 and a monthly manual processing fee to read the meters, $11.70. Then also we include the free waiver if they can present a statement by a licensed medical physician that RFC can hurt the customer. And also they have to agree to the terms and conditions of the program. The second, which is the one that we just got after the packets were printed, we call it a digital opt-out, no fees. So basically, it will be offered to single-family residential customers. The meter will have the communication module installed for the electric and the water. However, you can set the meter on they call it opt-out. So the meter will be asleep for 30 days or 29 days. And once a month, you will wake up and send the information to the billing software. And that's something that, like I said, just came up a couple days ago. So those are the two recommendations we have.
Can I ask a-
Sure.
So with the digital, is it a different meter on option 2 than the traditional smart meter, or is it the same meter with?
It'll
just
be
that-
basically a smart meter, but it won't be emitting the radio frequencies constantly. It will be done once a month to get a reading.
So why wouldn't we do that for all of them?
Because part of the reason of smart meter, you can get a trend on your usage. So
And this just downloads once a month.
this will be one time they'll send all the information.
Okay.
So part of the smart meters to have a trend, and also the meters need to communicate the electric every 15 minutes. So if there is a power outage, they can communicate that they don't see any, there's no power. And that can be sent to our outage management screen, and then we can determine where the outage is. So having the meters communicating once a month will not give us any benefit that we have now, as far as outages and having usage trends.
So would your recommendation be that we offer so the regular smart meter, then both of these two options, or is your recommendation that we look at one of these two options?
When Amy and I put this together, we only had one option. The digital opt-out, no fees came, like I said, just a few hours ago.
But I guess what I'm asking, God, would you be recommending that
I'll
council
let
is
Amy
offering
give some of her input.
I think you offer both options because the difference is for people who do not want a smart meter at all, they're still going to have one if you go with the digital opt-out, no fees. So it's the same meter, same equipment, it's just that we're only going to activate it once a month. The actual opt-out with fees is we are taking that smart meter, removing it, and putting in a different type of meter. So now it's a special meter that we manually will send somebody out to read. We will manually enter it into billing. It won't bill through the same process as what it does with the smart meters because it's all an upload and download. And so this will be manually entered, manually billed, manually read. And so there will be no radio frequency coming out of that meter. There will be nothing electronic about it. So.
That seems like a really good compromise.
So this was, like he said, this last option option came up at the last minute, that this was new technology that's being added to the meters that we were looking at.
The same ones.
And by the time we get through the contracts, those meters will be what we will be purchasing. And so there's no additional cost to us to have that meter, we're already buying it. And so this was a great last minute get to throw in, so. But I do feel that some people who are adamant about the radio frequency or the technology in the meter, why they don't want it, that they may be willing to pay that fee for it to be manually handled. And so we should leave them that option, that if they do not want any part of a smart system, that we give them that.
So the consumer will have the ability to choose either one of these
Yes,
opt-out
so they can pay,
options.
yep, for a manual read, or then take a digital where we only read it once a month, or have a smart meter that we read, and then have them have the database with all the information that's available. So,
Then in your packet, there is the smart meter program details, terms and conditions. And you will see it includes now the opt-out with fees, the medical, and the digital opt-out.
So if they get a physician's verification statement completed and they go for the opt-out with fees,
Will be,
there won't be any fees.
Yes, ma'am.
With the first option.
Yep. But I think the digital opt-out was a good compromise, in my opinion.
Very much.
How did you arrive at the $142 for a one-time setup fee?
That includes the purchase of a electric meter that is different from the smart meters and the water meter.
So that's the actual cost of the meters?
Yep, for both.
and that would include the installation, so staff will literally go out, change out the meters, and put in the special purchase meters, and so that's included in that cost.
And why can't I just use the meters that are already on my house?
For one thing, we want to go with a standardized system for reading, and the meters need to be replaced.
The water meters mainly.
So that was the beginning of the whole project, was a change out program, and so that's why. And I also think staying on that's a good reason why there are fees involved, is because in the presentations, if you look at water meters, especially with age, they're not calculating, so they're not as accurate. And so we're not calculating 100% of your water usage. And so that's where a lot of the cost savings are coming for this program. And so you may want to opt out because your meter may be 15 years old. And so just letting anyone opt out could be, I mean, it kills the meter change out program that needs to happen. So.
And the monthly manual processing fee of $11.70, is that based on the personnel that have to go
So
in?
that is actually the complete cost. So we took the budget divided by all the meters that we read, and so it costs $11.70 to read both meters. So it's one set. So when we're at your house, that per meter, that's what that would cost to manually go in and read it and bill it. So it's from beginning to end of what it takes for us to get that utility out.
And as I remember, you were gonna reduce the staff by 2, is that right? When you didn't have to go out and read
That was-
meters?
Yes.
Would you
That
still
they
be
would
able
be
to do that,
implemented.
or?
Well, and so this is where it gets really sticky. When you don't know how many people would opt out of the program, it's hard to know how much staff you're going to have to manually handle.
So should you include that cost in your fees?
It could be, but it's hard to get into those weeks now when we don't know how much, how many opt-out people we're going to have, and then also how much savings we're gonna reap in staffing, and I guess even what the staff we have now that we do plan on keeping in utility billing, what their task will be. Their jobs are going to change, and what other things they might be able to do and cost savings become. So not having a system, we can't tell you how much we're actually saving by having the system and how many people would opt out. So it's hard to give a real number on that. So we kind of went to the conservative side, supportive enough that you really need to opt out, for your benefit, so that we don't lose the whole benefit of the system. But yes, we also don't want to price gouge people and punish them.
Well, did notice that it says on here that the council can review and change some of these terms at their discretion. So I guess that's something that would just have to be part of their review, right?
Okay, we have a question from the public. Would you come up and tell us who you are and
Adam Cox, 285 East Skylark Street. Keep in mind, it's really important to speak into the microphones so that people who are watching this recorded can hear all the commentary, because I've watched a lot of these meetings and you can't hear a lot of what happens, so would appreciate that. A little hard to remember, I know. Thanks for answering the questions about the cost. Those were my questions. What were those numbers based on and how were they calculated? I'm still not hearing any kind of estimate to estimate the fiscal impact on the city, the budget, the taxpayers, based on possible projected numbers of people. It seems like it would be a reasonably simple exercise to say 50 people opt out, 100 people opt out, 500, 1,000, and then tell us, where is the break even? Where does it start to be a drag and we're gonna have to hire a half-time person at this amount of money and salary in order to read this large number of meters based on what we were reading before, so on and so forth. Quick math, if 2,000 people opt out, it's $11 a month. That's that's 22,000. Where are we at throughout the year? That type of thing. 2,200, I guess. What is the cost potentially? I understand we don't know how many people might do this, but we're signing a check that we don't understand what is going to happen here, right? And the recommendation from this council is moving forward with just based on today's averaged out number that doesn't really represent what's going to be happening in the new situation, So I just want to bring that up that, I think we could do a better job of guesstimating what it's going to be with various numbers of people opting out, and whether we're going to be losing money and the other customers are going to be making up for that money. At what point and what numbers is that going to occur? So, yeah, that's just my commentary about it. Thanks.
thank you.
And Beth, can I clarify too? I believe the cities that opted out that we looked at, when we talked about it, wasn't their average with the ones that had fees 3% of people still opted out? On average?
This information that came from the American Public Power Association. They give us they didn't mention the cities, but there was one case with over 18,000 smart meters 18,000 meters replaced, and only 8 customers decided to opt out. The other case was with over 20,000 meters, and it was close to a dozen. So based on that, I don't see more than a handful of Gardner residents going with the opt-out program.
The fees involved, so.
What's the total number of meters we have now?
It's slightly over 16,000.
So that 18,000 number that you just cited, how many opted out? 8?
That was about 8. But, that's based on some cases that the APPA provided. But I don't think more, I might be
So
wrong,
5
but I
to-
don't think more than a
Would
dozen,
5 to 10 be a reasonable number then?
possibly.
Well, did you have a public demonstration or discussion of this? Was there a public
We had
discussion?
we had a smart meter informational meeting,
And how many came to that?
16.
Yeah.
But out of the 16, I think most of them were satisfied with the answers we provided.
And if I recall, at the last meeting, we had one lady here that
And
was,
she was at that meeting as well.
and she was not for it, right?
At the end of the meeting, she was.
Oh.
And so and I'm not sure that something, if anything's changed, I was surprised not to see her here tonight. She liked the benefits of it. We kind of got more into it, was more kind of like just an open dialogue, lots of questions, and so, there was a lot of information that came out about what you can get from the meter, based on your usage and that, and so, by the time she saw that she could control her bill and watch it, and see what each of our clients and, opening the door, air conditioning, and she was very excited about those tools that would be given to her. So I'm not sure how she feels about it today enough to know if she would opt out or not. But she was excited.
Well, I really like the digital opt-out, no fees compromise to it, because it seems like we still get the benefit of the system, where the reduced cost of reading meters and the new meters and everything like that, but, people that are worried about
Exposure would be
exposure
1/30th
or that sort of thing. Is there any tipping point to the number of people that sign up for that, though, where then we lose the other advantages of the system, such as, being able to detect outages and kind of the mesh system you have when everyone's doing the real-time monitoring?
You do lose some of the analytics side of that, yes. And if you have a large neighborhood that opts out, yes, you could lose that on your outage
management.
But on certain things, you still get an alert, right?
Yep.
And again, this is new technology that just hit us. And so our understanding is that there are still alarms that would be signaled. So that would be part of that, is we're reading it once a month, but if something happens, so if somebody's tampering with the meter, there's still an alert set. Outage.
If you lose power, all this, like the tamper, the outage, if you lose power to the meter, those are programmable. So you can take them out, but has the function that you can set the loss of power. So if you lose of power, then it will send a signal saying, hey, I have an outage. So we can respond to that outage. So that's an option.
So the alarms will still be there. However, the data, possibly like the load on the transformer when your peak is, we'll lose that out of those homes, but the alarm systems will still be
Right.
there. So.
And I guess the thought is less people will do that, so it kind of averages out and you still get decent enough analytics.
Yeah, we're hopeful.
So going back to your question, the recommendation will be both options, 1 and 2, unless you decide go a different route.
I guess from my perspective, and I from the ask from the council, I'm assuming they want something that they can consider an opt-out policy. My thought is, I don't think there should be an opt-out. I mean, I'm kind of with what Mr. Cox said. If we, let's just say, we have 10 employees in this area today, and we have a subset of people that opt out to where we can't realize any benefit from it because we still have to keep those 10 employees. So now I have the expense of the smart meter that taxpayers are paying for, and I still have these 10 employees that taxpayers are paying for. Understanding we're trying to recoup some of the costs, but if we don't clearly understand what that breaking point is, I think we could set ourselves up. And part of my reasoning for that is, when I saw that Pennsylvania is one of the states that does not allow an opt-out, I know Pennsylvania has one of the most consumer protective public utility commissions in the nation. There's a good reason that they do not allow consumers to do it, and I believe it's because there could be negative ramifications on the majority of consumers by allowing very specialized treatment in some of these areas. I get the whole medical thing, and I think that, but I think from a city perspective that opting out, don't understand why we would do that. That's my opinion. But again, if council wants a policy to review, if that is our ask, then I think that these options are the best that we have to offer. My recommendation would be that we didn't allow an opt-out though.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Call for a motion.
Yeah, I'll move to recommend to the city council for these two different, they opt out with fees and digital opt out with no fees options for the smart meters.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion? The motion fails for lack of a second. Any other motions?
You gonna make one?
I mean, I would, well, I don't really know how to do this. I mean, I would make a motion that we recommend to the city council that no opt-out policy be created.
And the reason behind would be,
That I think that there's too much unknown at this point in time, and that we, other than, I think there should be an exception for medical, but other than that, I think that this is the direction the city wants to go. It provides efficiencies and benefits to the residents, and that's what we should move to.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Coleman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say no.
No.
No. So we have the motion failed for lack of a majority vote. Are
Okay, need
there
it.
any other motions? Well, I guess at this point, I'm not quite sure how to proceed.
I mean,
I guess this will just be a,
So I think you guys can discuss it more, or you can opt to move forward that there is no recommendation at this time. And either we bring something back or it dies here, so. It's.
So can we make a motion to recommend to the city council to consider proceeding without an opt-out motion? Is that's about the same as yours?
well, what I was gonna ask is on this particular motion, could we amend this to add a third option that basically says, do not allow an opt-out except for medical reasons?
3 options.
And then basically they have all three.
That sounds reasonable.
And what was the third one again?
It would basically be what you and
No
I
option.
said, except for we create an option 3 that says only allow opt-out in the case of a medical waiver.
Well, then you wouldn't have the choice of 1 or 2, is that right?
Well, yeah, but that would be, we'd say, right, exactly. It would just be a third option for them to
That you're
consider.
recommending the council look at these options,
Yes, these three options.
One and two, or three.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Actually, if you just did item 2, that accomplishes your position, right? It doesn't affect the stability of the system.
And actually, that's a great idea. Having lived in a city with smart meters, I would love option 2. I think option 2 should be there no matter what. That's the one that I have the strong opinion about. The other two, that
You could have a option 2 with a,
Medical.
Well,
well, and always a medical exception.
with a medical opt-out,
Right.
at no cost.
Right.
If a physician statement.
so just include option 2 only, and you cannot opt out for free with a medical. And you won't have a smart meter then either though, right?
Excuse me?
Well, you would have smart meters with option 2, they just would only be energized
Once a month.
once a month to read the
For that
meter.
small time to send his data off to the mothership.
Right, but you said they would have an opt-out
For
possibility
the, for the
with,
medical. If
right,
they
but
have-
that would not be a smart meter, would it?
No.
See, that wouldn't be a
Well,
smart meter.
no.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at.
But under this, there would be no fees for that anyway, so.
Right, there would be no fees at all.
So there would never be a fee for opting out
Right,
if, under that scenario.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I can agree with that.
So what I will say, we can present the 2 options, and the UAC recommendation will be option 3.
Option,
Define option 3 again.
I think it's
Just for
the
clarity.
digital
So,
opt-out
The digital opt-out with the
plus
medical.
the
would-
medical.
And that would just be one option. I mean, that would
Well,
be it.
Right,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
it's a standalone.
it would be just one thing by itself.
Sure.
No, what I'm saying is that will be your recommendation,
That would be our recommendation.
which is a hybrid of the 2.
So we would need a motion to that effect. And what will our recommendation be to the city council? Anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. Let me make sure I get this right. So I'll move that we recommend that the city council recommends the digital opt-out with no fees with the no fee medical waiver if you get it signed by a physician for a non-smart meter.
Right.
Yep.
That
Okay.
works. I'll
Is there a
that.
second to that? Mr. Coleman seconds that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come
No,
before the
that's it.
commission? Any other statements? Or public comment? Okay, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
We have some updates,
Oh,
unless
yes.
you want to see them next month.
Oh, sure, we can do the updates. I didn't want to set a record for the length of the meeting.
Okay, we have the third quarter electric outage report. For the third quarter, we had 19 outages affecting 605 customers. 9 due to equipment failure, 6 to trees, 3 to tree, 3 to animals, and 4 caused by third parties or by others. The average workday response was 4 minutes with a length of 1 hour and 20 minutes, and the average after hour 37 minutes with an average outage of 1 hour 41 minutes. The total average was 35 minutes response time, and the outage was 1 hour and 40 minutes. Then we have the table with specifics. You have any questions? And for those that are new, when a third party damage a meter or a light pole, we usually send a bill to that party so they can pay for it.
So we billed it, correct?
And that's a pie chart showing the distribution. Then we have the next one. Wastewater collection report. We only had 5 repairs, 1 due to roots and 4 to unknown causes. Somebody from. Do you have any of the unknowns, or why we couldn't determine the unknowns?
I think those are resident issues with the unknown.
For example, you can give us.
Usually the unknown is that we'll get calls from residents for backups. So we dispatch our vacuum truck out there anyway, just for a follow-up and precaution, and part because they request. And the only thing that we can usually find is unknown. They either got something might have plugged up for a second or two, and then they called us. But our follow-up practice, we always jet the lines anyway from any residents that request from it.
Thank you, Juan. Any questions? And the other report is the water repair. We have 21 service calls affecting 139 customers. 4 due to valve failure, 1 to hardware, 3 to mainline failures, 5 due to service line failures, 3 hydrant repairs, 2 due to damage by others, and 3 other reasons. The overall average response was 23 minutes, and the overall average repair 6 hours and 17 minutes. Any questions?
I'd like to clarify something real quick.
Sure.
This is Coleman. We were talking about the expired July of 2019. I just talked to Tim with Alltech, and I apologize for that. It's April of 2020.
Oh, well, that's
And he
good.
said that, they always extend it, so I apologize for that typo. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I
That's
just
good
emailed
news.
Tim, and he said it's April 2020, and they'll extend it if it takes a little bit longer for the truck to come in.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
6 months.
I didn't want you staying up thinking about that.
I was, I did sleep over that tonight.
And once I got to thinking about it, I go, you know what, that don't make sense.
I thought it was probably July of next year.
Yeah. So
Because I'm
that's
sure
how
you
that-
have a program in place that you can order those before the 9 months is up, you know.
Yeah. Well, everything, working with Alltech, everything just rolls so smooth. I mean, they extended a little bit longer when the truck comes in, so everything works out really good.
Okay, we have project updates. This is fairly new. We just finished the terminating cables at Symphony Farms, Phase 4.
Is that the one just east of the 35?
That's east of the present Symphony Farms,
Okay,
on the
where
other, on the
Symphony
east
Farms.
side,
North Mill Creek Road by the Celebration Park.
Okay.
south of Celebration Park. Next one, please. This is a project, single-phase overhead electric line along Santa Fe Street in Santa Fe West, 175th Street. They're doing a road improvement, so we had to move our electric utilities to accommodate the improvements.
Is it gonna be underground or?
No, it's overhead. Wastewater, this was a project that was recommended by the UAC. This is the final product. So in the south lift station, we added a 1 million gallon storage tank in case we have more wastewater flow that we can handle, we can store it instead of overloading the Kill Creek facility.
That's nice.
So it's a $2.1 million project that was done in schedule and within budget. And we're updating the Kill Creek blowers. I don't know if you remember seeing them. They're very inefficient, so we're getting a high efficiency blowers so we can reduce the electric consumption. Water, if I think Commissioner Williams and Taylor, they visited the Hillsdale facility over a month ago, I believe. If you go now, you won't recognize it. A lot of the trees are gone. And the east sediment pond is also gone. So that's where the new clarifiers and filters will be installed. So if you go there, it'll be different. And the more we go into, it will look very different. So we're done with we completed the cleaning of the 2 ponds we have. Cleaning of the trees, we're starting on the rock excavation. CAS anticipated 3 weeks to a month, and they're gonna be probably completed by next week. So we're 2 weeks ahead of schedule. And Burns and McDonald is working with city staff with KDHE in obtaining the permits for the new design. Yeah, this is a picture of the east pond that was full of water when you took the tour. Right now it's basically gone. And they were using that place for the foundations and footings for the new equipment. And that's all I have for this month.
Okay, any other business to come before? Anybody have anything else? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
I hope that's what y'all wanted.